Phase 4 is looking to be the biggest of the MCU so far. Who knows what else it's going to have up its sleeve. And with all these new projects, it's given us a ton of new characters. So here are my top 10 characters that have been introduced in Phase 4 of the MCU. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about my top 10 favorite Phase 4 MCU characters. Before I get into this, though, make sure to hit the like button, comment your favorite Phase 4 introduced characters down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future MCU videos. So far, Phase 4 has given us multiple TV shows and films, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys my 10 favorite characters. Number 10 is going to be Fastos. This is one of the members of the Eternals. Now, this character cracks the top 10 for me just because he's the smartest of the Eternals, but also he's the one who really has the ability to feel human emotion and understand and empathize with humans, especially after the destruction of the nuclear bombs in World War II, as he advanced the technology and he gave humans like the knowledge to make weapons like this, and he just felt really destroyed, and seeing that internal conflict worked for me. He's a very likable character in Eternals, and simply put, he's just one of the few that actually is a good person. Number 9 on my list is actually going to be Mobius from the show Loki, played by Owen Wilson. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. Mobius is the best character in the Loki show. He steals every scene he's in, and I just really enjoy seeing Owen Wilson in the MCU. I feel like it would be cool to see him get his own show, and it's just like this outlandish comedy in the MCU. I think that would be something that I would like to see, and I hope we get to see more of him in Season 2, especially where Season 1 leaves off with his character not fully aware of what's going on. It seems like actually Loki is in a different timeline, and Mobius and Loki have no relationship where we stand right now, so I'm very interested to see that dynamic, but seeing him try to investigate the TVA and figure out what's really wrong with it, I think it's all very well done, and Owen Wilson's the guy. Number 8 on my list is going to be another Eternal, and that's going to be Kingo. Kingo is actually my favorite of the Eternals. I think Kumail Nanjiani is an absolute star, and his comedic chops really work for me here. There's multiple scenes that steal the show when it comes to laughter. Like, there's that one scene where he takes out the deviant, and then he's asking if his friend was recording it. That's one of the funniest lines in the entire movie, and again, I just like Kumail quite a bit as an actor and a screenwriter on his work in The Big Sick, so seeing him as Kingo in the MCU, it's a character that worked for me. I know this one didn't work for everybody. Some people said he was cheesy and his humor was a miss, but for me, it was one of the highlights of Eternals. Number 7 on my list is actually this character right here, Ikaris, who I have on my Funko Pops. I think Ikaris is the best character in the movie objectively, just because he is morally conflicted more than any of the others. He feels this moral obligation to destroy planet Earth, when in reality, he can't really wake up from the fact that this might not be the best thing for everyone. So he even is responsible for the death of Ajax. So he does some awful things, but it's very well acted by Richard Madden. Seeing that struggle he has at the end when he's with Cersei and you just see him break down, that's a really powerful scene from this movie. He's one of the most well-written and well-acted characters in the entire movie, so he's pretty high on my list of Phase 4 characters. Number 6 on my list is going to be Red Guardian, who was a little bit of a scene stealer in Black Widow. Him and another character I'm going to talk about here in a second were very good at stealing the show, but David Harbour is a guy I've loved since Stranger Things. I mean, him as Hopper is one of my favorite TV characters, I would say, so getting to see him take on this kind of anti-Captain America role, a washed-up superhero, it's really funny at times, and also the father-daughter dynamic between him, Nat, and Elena, it's perfect, and I really think it's the heart and soul of this movie. It drives Black Widow forward, and Red Guardian, just without him, I think Black Widow would have been a dud, but I actually think he really injects a little bit of life into it. Red Guardian and his fatherhood relationship is a massive element of Black Widow that is a positive. It works for me, and I hope we get to see this character get his own TV show down the road on Disney+, because we're getting a lot of shows announced, and we're not getting Red Guardian, so we should start a petition to make Red Guardian happen. Number 5 for me is actually going to be Dane Whitman, who is played by Kit Harington, aka Jon Snow. Now, maybe I'm blinded by my love for the character of Jon Snow, but I thought Dane Whitman was a scene stealer in Eternals. He only has about 10 minutes of screen time, I want to say, but every single moment he's on screen, I'm like, we really need to get a show or movie about this guy. And by the end of the movie, when you really find out where he's at in the post-credit scene, we see that he's going to be set up to be Black Knight finally. That's what I cannot wait for in the MCU. Like, when he becomes Black Knight, he might just be my favorite Phase 4 character, especially with who he could be interacting with. Characters like Blade might come into the play. I think that he's going to be a very much badass warrior, just like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, but he's a lot more relaxed, comical, kind of the comic relief. He just seems like a really cool, relatable guy that I want more of, and I'm genuinely curious to see what Dane Whitman's role is down the road. Number 4 for me is going to be Monica Rambeau from WandaVision. I think she is easily the best character from WandaVision, the show, and especially the 4th episode of WandaVision is one of my favorites, when we get to see everything that happens in the first 3 episodes through her perspective on the outside of Westview. It's brilliantly done, especially the opening of that episode when she actually blips and comes back. Like, the way that that is edited and shot is perfect, I think. Monica's a badass as well. She's not afraid to go toe-to-toe with Wanda or Agatha. I think that she is going to have a crucial role moving forward in the MCU, whether that's in Miss Marvel, The Marvels movie, and I'm ready to see her have another scene with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. Number 3 on my list is going to be Shang-Chi, who is the headliner of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, one of the better Marvel movies in recent years. I just love this character. He's not only cool and funny and relatable, but he's a badass warrior. I would not want to get in hand-to-hand combat with this guy. The first scene on the bus when the score really amps up and that music starts playing and he's taking dudes out, like, that gives me chills to this day. And I think Shang-Chi is going to be a main player in the MCU, especially moving into like phase 5. He could be one of those leadership roles that the Avengers need in the next big team-up movie, and I'm ready for Shang-Chi 2. I know they're going to do a spin-off show as well. But the runner-up for my favorite new character who's introduced in phase 4 of the MCU is Kate Bishop from Hawkeye, played by Haley Steinfeld. I've said this before, but she is so relatable because she's one of the younger leads in the MCU. We don't really get those that much. She's like in her 20s. I'm also 22 years old. She's only like a year or two off from me. So it's really easy to connect with a character who is your age, who's going through similar issues, whether that's family or trying to come to this new chapter of life, going off to college, all these different things. That's something that I just resonate with because it's fresh in my mind and my life. And so I love this character's role, and also she's got the charisma that carries the entire Hawkeye show, in my opinion. Not only is she really funny and charming, but she's also kicked some ass, especially the way she's able to shoot arrows just as good as Clint, I might say. And I like how her and Clint's dynamic comes full circle by the end, as Clint doesn't really want anything to do with her, but then he acknowledges they're really great partners by the end of the show, and she had a big impact on his life. And Kate Bishop is the new Hawkeye. I cannot wait for her next project in the MCU. But my favorite character who is introduced in phase 4 of the MCU has to be Elena Belova from Black Widow, who also appeared in Hawkeye. She rocks. Florence Pugh supremacy. She's a queen. We all know this. But she steals the show more than Red Guardian and Black Widow, as every time Elena was on screen, it was like, oh my gosh, this character needs her own movie or show ASAP. Florence Pugh has the star power to really carry it, but also her back and forth with Natasha. Like, the sisterhood dynamic here really is strong, and that was one of the core elements of this movie, is how it deals with family, and also her relationship with Red Guardian. Like, there's one scene in particular where they start singing American Pie, their song, back to each other, and it really does pull on the heartstrings. So with this character being so badass, funny, and like just charismatic in Black Widow, seeing her come over to the Hawkeye show and thinking that Clint is responsible for the death of her sister is even more powerful, because she doesn't care anymore. She's here to kill Clint Barton, and the scene that she has with Clint at the end where Clint does the whistle is chilling. It's one of the best moments in the Hawkeye show. And then Elena just like kind of walks off after that. So she's forgiven Clint, but we don't know where she's headed. There's a big future for her in the MCU. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding her character as well. So who knows what's going to happen. I think she's going to have a big role in the MCU moving forward. And anything Florence Pugh does, I will pretty much support. She's one of the best actresses working today, and she's just a bright spot of the MCU. I love Elena. But that's going to do it for my top 10 favorite new characters who were introduced in phase 4 of the MCU so far, because phase 4 is not done yet, so there's still going to be more characters introduced. But we've got a little break in MCU content, so I want to make some MCU videos because I love talking about it. But that's going to do it for my list. Let me know your favorite new introductions in the MCU in the comments down below. Make sure to hit the like button, and again, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future MCU videos coming very soon. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.